Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Standing Tall podcast. I'm your host, Gloria Johnson, and I am here with Civil Miller-Watkins, who is a candidate for U.S. Senate currently now. And how's it going?
It's hot right now, but it's good because it's always great to meet new people. And when you're campaigning, you're meeting new people, talking about great things, and trying to come up with better solutions. So it's good.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing that I love about campaigning is just getting out and meeting the people, talking to people, and hear what they care about.
Yeah.
So many people don't get out enough. It's very clear and apparent, and they only listen to certain people. And you have to listen to everybody because if you get elected, you will serve everybody, not just the people that agree with you or voted with you, but you will serve everybody.
Well, that's what it should be, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
definitely what it should be. I'm not sure that's where we are right now.
That part.
But so introduce yourself to folks, let them know a little bit about your background and why you decided to step up and all of that. Even though I know you've stepped up before.
I have. So I am Civil Miller-Watkins. I am from rural Tennessee, right outside of Memphis. So let me give you a little personal background. I'm married to a great guy for 37 years. We have 8 kids, 6 boys and 2 girls. We have 13 grands. So that's like mine. That's like my little cocoon
That's a heck
of
of
love.
a voting block you got there.
And all 8 of them can vote for their mama. Look at that. 8 votes in the bank. I am an 8th grade math teacher, which has been a joy. And I've been involved in Democratic politics for years, chair of the Fayette County Democratic Party, secretary of TDCCA, and Emerge alum, yay. Leadership, Fayette, a lot of things around in my community. And I also sat on the school board for 5 years.
I remember when you were on the school board.
Yeah,
Yes.
and during COVID, when we
Yeah.
had to maneuver encouraging our teachers to go from in person to online, which is a miracle in itself that teachers did that, right? And so I've run for office. I've run for this one. But the reason I decided to step up this time is what I realized was Republicans are just keeping us sicker, poor, and less safe. And what I knew about being a teacher was being able to look at a student, get their baseline, and figure out how to move them forward. Well, those skills are kind of what we need in politics today, being able to listen to people and move them forward. Because Black folk, rural folk, families, children, our students, our seniors, everybody's under attack.
Yeah.
And it was time for someone to step up, to be willing to take that fight. And I believe I'm just that person.
Well, thank you so much for doing it. And you talked about your students and, and looking at a student, analyzing, figuring out what they need. It is, one of the things that I've realized being an educator who has gone into politics, I'll be, whether I'm in committee or on the House floor, somehow everything that we're discussing, I can take it back to something from the classroom.
Yeah.
Or something from working with the families in my district. Because I grew up very staunchly middle class, white suburban neighborhood, but most of my career in teaching has been in underserved communities, and it was so important. And so, that's how I came to understand more about the rest of the world. Some people never get outside of their bubble, and I feel like my colleagues across the aisle never get outside of their bubble. They go to church and Republican meetings, and they come here. Yeah. And they don't talk to anybody who doesn't look like them, worship like them, or the same color as them, And that is what is lacking in the fear in my colleagues for anything different than that is shocking to me. Just shocking. And I can't, sometimes I just can't even believe how they're not accepting of people's differences. But it's literally feared with them.
Well, so one of my favorite movies is The American President.
Uh-huh.
I love that movie. And the one thing, and I listened to his monologue speech at the very end,
Mhm.
and one thing he talked about is one way that the other fella was getting people to vote for them is to just sow fear. And so that's
Mhm.
what Republicans are doing. They're sowing fear and division. Whereas we know in the classroom, what do? You're going to make that classroom so that everybody feels a part. And every student they know that Miss Watkins is, I'm looking at you, I see you, I
Mhm.
hear you. What do you need? If I can provide that, I'm going to get that for you. What resource do I need in order to move you forward? And so if you take that type of attitude and perception into a political office, then I know, no, this baby doesn't look like me. No, he doesn't suffer. He doesn't have, I haven't suffered the way he's suffering. I'm not coming from a home the way he came from. But because I have things like professional development and I read books and I'm reading reports and they're telling me how to move and care for this child through all of his ACEs. We have all those
Mhm.
adverse child
Experiences.
experiences. Thank you, me and that word. Then we know how to deal with them. Well, that's the same thing you're going to be doing with your
Right.
constituency. I'm going to be able to go and look at someone who came from even $1 million lifestyle. How can I help them all the way down to that baby who, you know, when they come to school, that's the only meal they have.
Right.
So perspective is what we need in
And,
politics.
and using the research and the data that
Mhm.
we have, like, if a child has this sort of issue with reading or with math, then you look at the research and data. What direction should you go with a kid experiencing these things? And we use that, but it is the same political process where we need to be using the research and the data. How do we solve this problem? We have a problem where 700,000 Tennesseans have no access to health care. How do we solve this problem? Well, hey, Medicaid expansion, there's an idea.
Yeah.
That's something that we have refused for years. And so Tennessee is in the bottom 5 of medical outcomes because of it. And we're in the top 2 of closing rural hospitals, which you've
Yeah.
experienced.
So our Fayette County Hospital was one of those hospitals that closed. And
Mhm.
I feel I'm kind of in between and in betwixt because we lost a hospital, but my alma mater, UT Martin, got a satellite satellite building, right? So trade off, but not really. But what's happening now is we see now that a lot of the rural communities are trying to build those smaller hospitals that have the emergency
Mhm.
rooms where you can triage a person just enough to get them somewhere else. But also, I had 8 kids. I had to drive 45 minutes to see my OBGYN
Yeah,
with those kids.
right.
And so it's not just the fact that there is no hospital. I'm still traveling 45 minutes to the dentist, to the eye doctor, to all of these things. So we can have it can be affordable, but
Mhm.
is it accessible? So we have to
Right.
look at both things. And expanding Medicaid,
Yeah, it's
kind of a
now
no-brainer.
every time I talk to people, and it's Republicans that will say that to me. It's a no-brainer.
Mhm.
Right. I know, but guess what? These guys up here
Yeah.
got no brain.
Yeah.
I mean, guess that means one thing, doesn't it?
Their vote is
Yeah,
where they live, right?
it's
Yeah.
really remarkable, but it's so critical that we get this right. And trying to demonize the other, whether it's black people or brown people or women or the disabled, they're just trying to divide us because they can only win if they can divide us. And that is why, a huge focus that we've really been talking about. We've talked about it for a long time, but really talking about it since the Covenant shooting, is building this multiracial coalition going forward, and recognizing that it's not left against right. It's regular folks against the billionaires and corporations, or it's right against wrong. And that is what we're dealing with. And I know that you get that.
Yeah.
And I know that you are a fighter, that you're not one to back down from an uncomfortable conversation. Part of the reason I think that you really want to run.
Yeah.
And so we actually ran against each other
We
in
did.
24 in the primary.
And we're sitting here together.
And we
See
are
how that
sitting here
happens?
together. And, you know, and the reason we're sitting here together is I saw you on that campaign and I saw your hard work and I saw your messaging. I think that messaging is so critically important. And I loved your messaging. You know, I thought you did a great stump, but I also just really loved your message. And I think coming from a rural community is really important because so many of our elected officials will talk about how much they are concerned for rural communities, but everything they're doing makes it harder for them. We are hurting farmers right now.
Yes.
You talked about your 45-minute drive to a dentist or an OBGYN. I would say that that's only getting worse because fewer and fewer OBGYNs are practicing here or even coming to do a residency. So that's only going to get worse as we go, as they are trying to force women into carrying pregnancies. They're also removing the care that they need to do so.
Yeah. So we have 8, but I was pregnant 9 times. That first baby was a stillborn. And so I cannot imagine where I would be if I were in that position right now. At that time, my doctor was able to do everything he could to make me comfortable, to make to finish the process as
Right.
simple as it could be. But now doctors are like, can I? Should I? No, right?
Am I going to go to jail
that's
for
right.
helping
Who
this
wants
woman?
to go to jail? Even though they took this Hippocratic oath to say I would help everybody, but the law, a politician is standing between the man and that woman's care, and I just think that that is ludicrous. And we definitely need to revisit Roe v. Wade and determine ways to make sure that women will always be able to have a choice over their bodies.
Right, and maybe we can just disallow men from even voting on it.
Well, wouldn't that be? Yes, there we go. That would be a great. No, this won't involve you, so you don't have to come to this vote. We'll
Right,
you take a day.
Exactly. Because I remember standing on that floor here when we were banning abortions and all the things that we were doing, and standing with my hand raised for 45 minutes, one of the few women in the room, and they refused to call on me.
I remember that.
That
There was a
tells
picture.
it-
Yeah.
That tells you it should tell you everything you need to know. It should tell you everything you need to know. It's so ridiculous to me. But so you have a primary this time.
I do.
And one thing that I'm from East Tennessee. And so in East Tennessee, we're sort of lucky if we get one Democrat to run in a race. We rarely have primaries.
Yeah.
And so I know a lot of times in Nashville and Memphis area, they have primaries, but I like in primaries when Dems are running against each other. I always say no Dem on Dem violence.
That's
you
right.
know?
No, love each other.
But I noticed in your race, there's a little bit of that. I received an email from some organization, but it was about one particular candidate. And I have to be honest, I laughed as I was reading the email because I am somebody who, I think like you were a county party chair, right?
Yes.
Okay, I was a county party chair. I was never on the executive committee, but me and Todd Sharp started the County Chairs Association.
Oh, wow.
And so he was the president, he was the chair, and I was the vice chair for the first several years of it. And I know you're on that organization as well. So you have been fighting for Democrats at the local level, at the state level, and you want to fight at the federal level.
Right.
And so, but apparently one of your opponents wants to call that a conflict of interest when you are running to support democratic values, to fight for those democratic values at whatever level you are at. So I can't believe that's a criticism from your opponent for you. And when I got that, I literally thought about responding, but it was so ridiculous to me. I want someone who's out there doing the work and has demonstrated they've done that work for years. I've never heard her name. And I've heard your name for years.
Yeah. So that was interesting. But I do think that all of us need to understand our democratic structure.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
Yeah.
understand where offices fit within the whole our big tent, right? Because we're a big tent party. Hey, come on, got a great idea, be with us, right? And so state executive committee is a local office. It is, yes, it's on the state executive
But it's
committee,
representing
but it's
your
representing
community.
my community. And I think the thing that really took me aback was you didn't know the structure.
Mhm.
And if you're going to run, at least as a Democrat, at least know the structure. And I don't know, attempting to have political points by pointing something out. Thank you for sharing my name.
Yeah, I just, I thought that was so interesting. It's like, yeah, really a lack of understanding of the structure of how it works in our state, which really just demonstrates you haven't engaged with it before.
Yeah.
And I want somebody who really understands what the process is. And somebody I know has been fighting for a while, because you also didn't you when we had all the women running,
Yes.
didn't you run for state house too?
What was it? 2014. It was like 30 of us.
Or was it
2012, 2018?
It might have been 2018.
So I don't know. But yeah, I was part of that group.
Yeah.
And we all went through trainings. I believe you came, and we had trainings and all of those type of things. And it was that training, then emerge, and understanding not just the democratic aspect of it, but understanding how politics work.
Yeah.
Understanding how to be a candidate, understanding how to talk to folk, understanding that I need to know more about the issues and be able to present them to folk.
Yeah.
And we talked about rural communities. In rural communities, oftentimes because of the lack of representation, they don't even know what to ask for. So having something, it's like, what do you have, right? What can I ask for? What is it? And so understanding all of those things, I believe, makes you a stronger candidate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And that's why I think that, you have all the skill sets needed and to do what you're running to do. And so I never saw it as a conflict of interest. I just saw it as you're building your skills.
It was odd. And no dim on dim.
No dim on dim
Yeah.
violence.
Let's stay there.
Because, ultimately we all come out and support whoever the nominee is.
Right.
And so that's just so
and
critically
we can always
important.
just be civil, can't we?
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Well, and about your name, I know you told a little bit of a story, and I love, where your name came from. Why your mom?
Yeah, so my mom was, I call her a general in the civil rights movement back in the 60s. And just a little bit about my mom. While she went to the parking lot of one of the factories and saw that there were no license plates from our town. And so she got a little perturbed about it. And they had people guarding the front door. So she had to jump over a fence out back to go into the building. And when she went in, they gave her an employment test. And she passed it, and they offered her a job. And she says, no, I don't need a job. She was already working. But I got 4 or 5 Black women out here who would like to have one of your jobs. So by her jumping the fence, she got Black ladies to be able to come into this factory in my hometown. And the story goes, she was pregnant with me when she jumped the fence.
Oh.
So I take that as I've been jumping fences for folk all my life.
A little civil disobedience.
Yes. And so when she had me, she named me Civil Rights. But my aunt, I was civil rights for 45 minutes to an hour. My aunt told her, you can't name that baby that. So I got to keep the civil part. And I've been civil. And I also have a brother who's John Kennedy.
Oh, wow.
He's older than me, but John Kennedy. So my mom was really, really real about fighting for the rights of our neighbors. In my town, we had the east side and the west side, and the Black folk were on the east side. So we had the Black grocery. My mom did hair. My granddad was the principal of the Black high school.
Oh, wow.
So that has just been a part of who I am. And what I realize is names mean a lot.
Yeah.
And my name has just, they can either, I've grown into it. Let me say that. I've grown into being civil. And civil by nature, hopefully, and not just civil
That's
by
what I
name.
found.
Yeah. I did learn to stand up. I did
Mhm.
learn to, when you see an injustice or something you can make a difference in,
Mhm.
then you have to be the voice. And
Yes.
if you're not the voice, find somebody who's going to be the voice. And that's when you
Yeah.
vote for great people. If you can't do it, vote for great people to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, so you've got a primary coming up,
Oh my
and
gosh,
then you've
yes.
got a general election. So,
Yes.
what does that path look like for you?
Okay. So winning the primary, of course. The general, let me say something about Democrats and generals in
Mhm.
the state of Tennessee. We tend to believe there's absolutely no way to win. And so we approach the race already defeated. Well, especially at this time, we talked
Mhm.
about when we ran against each other the last time, there was a lot of division. They were
Mhm.
talking about a lot of different things. Well, at this point in time, Republicans have come after everybody.
Mhm.
I mean, there is no group that has been left untouched.
Right.
It's a lot of fear, it's a lot of division, it's a lot of misunderstanding. And if they can't say anything good about you, they give you a laugh emoji,
Mhm.
So, and then they packed and cracked our districts. Well, what that did was that made folk like me in Fayette County become friends with folk in Williamson County.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
now we have this continuity. So it's still terrible. Don't get me wrong,
Yes.
it's terrible. However, with this particular race, I believe they have not only packed and cracked districts, but they've also packed us into a room where we have to talk to each other and figure out how we can move
I
forward.
honestly agree, and I see
Well,
it as an
yeah,
opportunity.
exactly. And they may have cracked us, but they also cracked open the door so that now people in Williamson County can see, oh, those folk down there in Fayette County,
Mhm.
they have the same problem. They need doctors, they need jobs, they need
Housing.
housing. Oh my gosh, housing. They need Tennessee needs to be a place where people can live and not
Mhm.
just survive, but actually be able to take a vacation or three. So the path to victory is every Democrat vote. But then we have to think about that 42, 43% of folk
Mhm.
who stayed home.
Yeah. Right.
We've got to activate them. And
Mhm.
so my path to victory is Democrats, okay, you know you're going to vote. Come on out. Let's vote.
Yeah.
So that vote is done. But as Democrats, as folk who are running in the general, all of us need to be focused on getting out the 43%. Because people talk
Yeah.
about, oh, but you can flip some people. You know what I found out about flipping? Y'all know we got shoes, right? What do we call those shoes? We call them flip
Flip
flops,
flops.
right? So if you flip them, like we flipped them for President Biden, but then
Mhm.
they flopped right
Yeah.
back to the guy that is now at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Mhm.
So we don't need to be so concerned about flipping because they're a flop. However, if we build dedicated Democrats,
Yeah.
then we have a path, we have a bridge to
That's what a
winning.
lot of people don't understand. It's not that we have to change a lot of minds. Actually, some minds are out there changing on their own.
On
As
their own.
you're talking to people. It sounded like more in 24 when I was running. We were both in that Senate race, but I think those people flopped for sure because, but that final push
Mhm.
with all that propaganda kind of got them back.
Yeah.
I'm seeing people that I don't think are going to flop this time, but the way that we win is to get those folks out who aren't going to the polls, who feel like their vote doesn't matter, by talking to them about the things that they care about. And so I'm so glad that you recognize that and you're really going to focus
Mhm.
on getting out those people who haven't been coming out. Because, what I hope people are seeing is, it does matter who you elect and it can make a difference. I remember when I first got involved was with President Obama's campaign. And I remember after he won, some teachers that I teach with, a teacher came up to me and she said, Gloria, this is like the first time in my life where a president has done something that has affected my life and my personal life in a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was some of the student loan debt he
Oh
had
my gosh.
forgiven that affected her son.
Yeah.
And it just changed his whole life because what he was doing, because he couldn't afford to get out of college and have to start paying his student loans. So he kept staying in college,
Yeah.
building those student loans. But by Obama forgiving some of that, he was able to graduate and get to work and had a reasonable amount of money to pay back.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course a lot of people. I remember my hairdresser running up to me one day with this folder when I had an appointment with her. Gloria, I got insurance. I got health insurance.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
after Obamacare,
Yes.
because she had never, as a self-employed person who was overweight, she did not qualify due to obesity.
Isn't that crazy?
She got Obamacare. I think she had to pay $38 a month. And she found out she was diabetic. She got on the medication she needed, was able to get healthier because of that.
Yeah.
You know, Democrats have to work hard to change policy that really does affect people's lives. And I think people are doing it. We see Mom Donnie doing it in New York, and it's
Yes.
so exciting.
And it's driving certain people crazy.
It is, and I like to see that
I
too.
do, but if you're taking care of people, if your goal when you were elected was to take care of people and not just politics and saving and keeping certain things going,
Yeah, keeping those lobbyist dollars coming in.
that part. If it was about people, then if you talk to people and you see what their challenges are, and when you get into office, because I bet Mondami had a lot of people say, this rent is always increasing. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to have a 2-year freeze on rent increases.
Yeah.
And people read that a lot of times like, oh, they don't have to pay rent? No. It's just not increasing, which is
Yeah.
a difference, right?
Right.
And so if we have policies that are going to truly, like your friend, affect them, teachers around me, the forgiving of all those loans that they had to take out to get their education, all the things that people are now missing that you don't realize you're missing because of some legislation, the things that Tennessee is doing, you know, everything that we think has been crazy is a vote. It's a budget. It's somebody voted for that.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And then, well, we just don't have the money to do better for our schools. Excuse me.
30.
We are 51st in funding public schools now. We dropped to dead last, rock bottom, and just a year and a half ago we were 47th,
Yep.
which is a drop to 47th. But as soon as they expanded vouchers, now we're dead last, 51st. And these guys up here will say, well, it's not the same money. It doesn't come from the same place. Well, let me tell you something. If you put that $300 million that are voucher money into our public schools, we do a whole lot better for all of our kids, not just a handful.
Yeah. And so what do you say to those folk who you can't just throw money at the problem?
Oh, that's hilarious.
I love
because
that one.
That is exactly what they say, but they only say it about education. They don't say about it tax breaks for billionaires.
Yes.
They throw all kinds of money at that. But they'll say, literally, that's what comes out of it. Well, you're just throwing money at a problem. Well, explain to me why the 10 best state for student outcomes spend more money than we do.
Yep.
And if you direct that funding to research-based programs and practices, the kids are going to do better.
Yeah.
But you just dropped us to 51st in the nation, and you think we're going to get better outcomes? And I had a friend call me up and say, Gloria, I want to tell you about these vouchers. And I was like, oh, I want to hear what she has to tell me about vouchers. She's got 4 kids. They're all in public school. Well, one's graduated. Well, one of them was really struggling in their public school. She's like, I'm going to try the private school. So she put the kiddo in private school. And she said, just for the heck of it, I want to apply for a voucher and see if I could get one. I'm not going to use it, but I just want to see. So she got the application, and all it required of her to put was what she made per year, which was $100,000 a year. But her house is paid for, her car is paid for, and she gets a lot of child support. Didn't ask about child support. It didn't ask what her ex-husband makes, who pays for the private school, or at least a lot of the private school. Didn't ask that question. He makes $500,000 a year. So they make a combined income of $600,000 a year. And she got first qualifying for a voucher. And she said, now, Gloria, you know I'm a Democrat. I'm not going to take that voucher. But this makes me so mad. I said, well, it makes me mad too. And she said, all my friends that are doing it, they're taking that voucher. And it's so frustrating to me. We know that over 80% of these voucher kiddos never went to public school. We're just subsidizing private school for the wealthy.
Yeah. And leaving my babies without the resources as I teach in my Title I school with disadvantaged kids, and our lunches look crazy where you could put some money, if nothing else, put some money into the lunch program so that kids could have
so much of that lunch program money comes from the feds, which they want to do away with the federal department, which is your special ed money. It's your Title I money.
And when you mess with IDEA, I have a whole type of different reaction, because we know that's already funded less than half of it is funded, right? And so just thinking about education, our children are our future.
Right.
So when you place a vote, you're thinking about kids. It's really not about you and I until we get, we're about houses and all that type of stuff, right? But our children, we have to give them the pathway that they'll be able to afford a house, that they'll be able to have a job that'll take them to wherever they want to go. So, I have, all our kids are 19 to 39. So I have those kids who are graduating from college trying to figure out what they're going to do next. I have one that's going into college. What is he going to do after college? So all of those things have to be in consideration. And that's why in the campaign, I talk a lot about perspective. So I have that perspective. I have a perspective of what does it take to buy a house. I got a couple of kids who are trying to buy houses. I got a realtor in the family. We live with my 88-year-old mother-in-law. So I have to think about her. Our seniors should be living their golden years. But instead, she is worried about our country going back to a time that she's already lived through.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get it.
That's crazy to me.
It really is. There's just no question about it. So let's look ahead as you go into this race. You win the race.
Woohoo!
So what would you like to see Tennessee and America look like? What kind of changes would you want to bring?
Well, the one thing, once again, is about knowing what you can do, right? As a senator, it is about bringing money back home, right? Bringing money back home for infrastructure, especially in our rural communities. 70 to 80% of Tennessee is rural. So we have to do things for our rural communities. We have to pour into their infrastructure, which is fire stations, hospitals, all of that. How about sidewalks, giving money, grants, and all of that for our rural communities? Second, it is illegal for them to dismantle the Department of Education. So going in there and putting all of that back where it's supposed to be. And when we do that, then the federal government can give more than the little bit of money they give for our education. And then finally, let me tell you something. As a Black woman, I'm kind of tired of folk picking on Black people.
Yeah, I'm with you. As a white woman, I'm tired of folks picking on Black people.
So because what they do is they come after our vote. And so the third thing that I have to focus on is voting, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, the Freedom to Vote Act, all of those things, making sure that we codify some stuff. One of our challenges was a lot of these things that they're being able to attack and to send to that ridiculous Supreme Court right now. So I'm trying to be kind to these people because you're supposed to be good to your elders.
We did get a little bit of a good decision today. So you can count mail-in ballots.
Oh yes, the mail-in ballot.
So that was good. Now I'm worried tomorrow's going to be some awful ones.
Did they do the one about Cook? The how he can let federal appointed people go? They didn't decide
that one. I'm not sure. Okay. I know there's a couple tomorrow that I'm real concerned about.
I'm real concerned. The birthright one. And
oh
my gosh. So, and then when we think about the 14th Amendment, all of that is due process. So they're trying to crack that amendment so they can get to due process. So we have to realize what they're actually after, right? But being able to vote is, it's not a gift.
Yeah.
It is something that we have.
It's a right.
It's a right. And so if it's a right, stop messing with me.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what I'm saying. And stop messing with women. So I read this thing about they want women to stay at home, have babies, and let their husband vote. Well, No.
Exactly.
No.
Well, I don't have a husband. Do I have to go to
Do
my
you have
neighbor
to go to your neighbor?
and get my neighbor's husband to vote for me?
Yes, or find your uncle or your brother, find
It
some
will be
male
a
relative.
cold day in hell.
I'm just so between what they're doing, the Black folk and women and rural communities not needing so much. What I have found out is when we help the marginalized, when we help people in need, it really lifts everybody.
I mean, a rising tide lifts all boats. And, we know that because we understand public school. A public school takes every single child that lives in that district, every one of them.
Yep.
These private schools that take vouchers, they pick and choose who they want to take. They would never have taken one of the kids I taught, not one of them. And so, and then if they did take a special needs kid, they would make them sign themselves out of their rights to special education.
Yes.
So how do public tax dollars go to a school that chooses who they take? It doesn't give anyone the right to choose the private school they want to go to because that school has to choose you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a grift and it's a lie and it's a scam and they're using our tax dollars to do it.
Yeah. Isn't there a national voucher?
There is,
program
yes,
coming
they're
out?
talking about that.
And so that's yet another
absolutely.
thing I would definitely vote against. But let me say this, everybody. One vote can't change anything. We need to send a bunch of Democrats.
Yes.
We need to take the Senate. We need to take the House. And we also need to be thinking about the census that's coming up. So we have to be prepared. It's always staying ahead and being prepared for everything
Right.
that's coming as well.
Well, I hope it's clear to everybody that I am on Team Civil.
Yeah.
And I'm endorsing Civil Miller-Watkins. And, you have a lot of years of a body of work that I'm familiar with, and you were doing that work before I got to know you. So I just want to thank you so much for stepping up. But tell people what they can do, how they can get involved, where they can find you.
Well, please log into www. I love saying the W part. Civil4TN. That's civil, my name, CIVIL, the number 4TN.com. There you can volunteer. You'll find all my socials. Be sure you like, share, follow, do all of that, and donate. The one thing I know that I will not be able to do is to meet the opponent in the general dollar for dollar.
Right.
But what I can do is use the monies that are given to our campaign most effectively, and I can wear out a pair of sneakers and meet as many of my wonderful Tennessee neighbors as I can and take those voices back to Washington.
I have no doubt that you will outwork him with the people. There's no question in my mind. Because I know that you're a worker and I know that you're a fighter. And I just thank you so, so much. And folks, it takes money to run a campaign. I hate asking for money more than anything in the world. But you've got to get your message to the voter, and that costs money. Even when it's you and your volunteers knocking doors, you've got to have the flyers, you've got to have the waters and the snacks to keep people alive while they're out there in 95-degree heat. And volunteering, it doesn't matter where you live. You can do a virtual phone bank from anywhere, even if you're listening from out of state and you want to help Tennessee save the South and recognize that we cannot let the South go. The South is critical in winning this whole country. So thanks for stepping up. People, please donate, please volunteer, and get out and vote for Civil Miller-Watkins. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on Standing Tall today. Thank you, Civil.
Thank you.
And we will both see you out there on the trail.